Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? So that we can get started. All right. Okay, good rates. That's great. Okay, okay, let's get started. Welcome, everybody. Um, okay, so this time. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mohammed. I'm joining you from Morocco. My presentation today is about empowering teachers' CPD responsibilities through effective reflective practices. So please tell us where you are joining us from. So I can see lots of people joining us from Egypt, yes, Saudi Arabia, Libya, Oman, great, Algeria, nice, Nepal, oh, nice, Pakistan, oh, great. I would like to welcome all of you to this webinar. Uh, let's get started. So this is the outline for this webinar. So I'd like to begin by a welcome session, and I will introduce some concepts. Then we will furnish the stage to talk about why reflective practices matter. Then we'll see some frameworks and models of reflective practices. And also we're gonna explore some tools and strategies for effective reflective practice, and also discover how we can build a reflective practice culture. And then we're gonna end with a session for questions and answers. So hi everybody and welcome once again. These are the objectives of the webinar. So together we're gonna understand or expand our understanding on the role of reflective practices in continuous professional development, explore tools and strategies for implementing effective reflective practices, and empowering teachers to take, of course, charge of their own CPD or continuous professional development. So as a nice breaker, so I'd like you to describe, just in one sentence, you can use emojis as well. So describe how you feel about your teaching. Are you satisfied, passionate, struggling? So use the chat box, please, and share some of your own prompts. Right, okay, nice. So passionate, I can read, yes, passionate, excited, great. Okay, nice, passionate, so proud, satisfied, interactive, okay, energetic, that's great. Active, satisfied, nice, curious. Okay, this is great. What else? Creative. Oh, I like this one. Okay, so enjoyable. Okay, that's great. Hard to say. Okay, it's nice. Okay, challenging. That's good. Okay, struggling honestly. That's good. Right. We're starting to have some other views and opinions about. Okay, creative. Very good. Thank you so much for answering this question. Now let's move on to the next section. Right. So now I'd like to begin with the first stage, which is why reflective practices matter. Uh, Now, I'd like to ask you if I wanted to ask you one question or to give me one prompt. What is reflection to you? What does it mean to you? So can you use chat box, please, to write share with us your ideas, self-assessment, room for improvement, yes, feedback, assess and evaluate, review your own practices. This is excellent. Critical thinking, very good. Perspective, yes. Improving weaknesses, that's great. Evaluation, feedback, love friction, yes. Ways to improve, nice. Analyzing, achieving goals, yes. Refresh information, that's really great. Talk and evaluate, right. Awesome, that's great. Thank you so much for your prompts. Now, let's look at some, how can we define reflection. So the online Cambridge Dictionary defines reflection as a serious and careful thought. I have provided an example for you here. After 20 years as a teacher, her reflections on or about education were all worth listening to. Okay, this is how Cambridge defines reflection. Okay. Now, let's look at some scholars in the field of education and how they have introduced the concept of reflection to education. So, according to David Cole, reflection is a key component of experiential learning, where individuals observe, reflect on experiences to develop concepts that guide future action. All right. The next scholar on our list is Donald Shawn, right? So for Donald Shawn, he identifies that the roles of, we can read from the definition, but I can clarify something here. So thinking about actions one has taken and the tacit theories which inform them. For Shawn, he identifies that the role of reflection on action, for example, is not only one of learning and informing actions, but also the building of theory. Okay, so, and then, so I'm sorry, I have to, okay. Okay, sorry. Right, so here, wait a little bit. I'm sorry for this. Okay, you have to repeat all over again. So please, can you see the screen, please? Can you see the screen? Can you see the screen? Okay. Right. Now, the last call on our list today is Graham Gibbs. So for Graham Gibbs, reflection involves systematically reviewing one's own experience, analyzing it, and using results to improve future practice. Now, after setting the stage and introducing the concept of reflection, I'd like you to talk about what reflective practice mean to you. So, what does reflective practice mean to you? Can you share some ideas from in the chat box, please? Thinking plus action. Yes, great. Boost my teaching. Okay. Hands-on feedback and information. That's great. Yes. Improving the ways. Okay. That's great. Okay. Testing. Okay. Why not? Feedback. Okay. It means to improve teaching. The improvement in teaching. Great. Find weaknesses. Okay. That's good. Determine the areas of improvement. That's right. Explorations, feedback, etc. That's excellent. Thank you so much for those prompts. Now, let's see how scholars have defined reflective practice. Now, as you can see, uh, we can say that reflective practice is the ability to reflect on one's actions so as to engage in a process of continuous learning. Okay, so for David Sean, it's about continuity in learning. So um, you learn and unlearn, and then you relearn. All right. For Graham Gibbs, reflective practice is a process that engages the individual to systematically reflect on experiences. Okay, turning them into actionable insights. That's great. And Ralph and et.al., a group of scholars, have identified or have defined reflective practice as a structured process that focuses on three key questions. So what, and now what? So the what refers to what is happening in the classroom. It means it starts with a descriptive, let's say, descriptive approach. We describe what's happening in the classroom, what problems we have in our classrooms, and then so what? What actions should we take? Or what are the approaches should we use in order to approach those problems? And then lastly, know what. So it means what are you going to do? Which approach is you going to favor in order to solve the current problem? That's great. Um, and lastly, for Stephen Brookfield, so reflective practice involves examining teaching and learning from multiple perspectives to enhance one's understanding of and effectiveness. Okay, so it's really important to bear in mind that reflective practice involves it's an ongoing process whereby teachers work together, and also this kind of self-assessment of one's um, practices inside the classroom. All right. So we looked at the definitions of reflection and reflexive practices. Now, uh, my next question to you is, how does reflection, in your opinion, you can just share with us some ideas, how does reflection or how the reflective practices enhance professional development or the growth of our practices in the classroom? You can share your prompts, please, in the chat box. by doing some scaffolding. Yes, good. Okay. Improves the quality of teaching. Yes. Improve strategies. That's great. Reform weaknesses. Okay. Helps me to be more reactive. Trial and error process. That's really good. Provide us with new steps. It helps enhance teaching. Okay. Identify more. So I can't catch up with the chats or mini prompts coming in. Okay. Make learning better. That's great. Okay. Enhance assessment, self-assessment. That's great. Okay. In addition to what you've mentioned, let us explore some ways to improve our reflective practices. Okay. Um, uh, I I can share. The first one is encourage. Okay, reflective practices encourage self-awareness. It means that teachers understand the settings where they work so that they can know what their strengths are, what their weaknesses, what biases do they have about their teaching practices, and also they can also revisit the habits they have been doing, they have implemented in their context. The next one is improving instructional strategies. It means the methodologies, the methods, the strategies that we use that leads our instruction, our own preferences to educational issues that are raised in our classrooms. Reflective practice or reflective practices enhance problem solving skills. That's really great. So sometimes we come about or we come across lots of challenging problems where we have to act upon those problems to solve them in a critical way, in a very creative and critical way. Uh, Reflexive practices foster continuous professional development. And that's why you are here. You are here because you want to learn about some tips on how to carry on your professional duties and improve your uh, uh, your abilities to solve your everyday problems within the classroom. Uh, the next one is strengthening teacher-student relationship. The more you expose to professional development opportunities, the more you get to understand the kind of relationships that connects between teachers and students, so that you can plan you can have like engaging lesson plans. You can also adapt ways, new ways. Maybe you adapt new teaching methodologies from other teachers from other contexts to apply to your contexts. And lastly, we have uh, promoting innovation and creativity. So professional development is a very excellent way or a door to or a gate to being more innovative and creative in our teaching contexts. Uh, the last one is that reflective practices enhance or support our emotional being. So sometimes we have to take some breaks. We have to recharge our batteries. We have because we are human beings. We cannot carry on like doing the job continuously without reconsidering how we could improve uh, our well-being. Now, what do you think are some of the common problems teachers face in CPD or continuous professional development, and how does reflection help address them? Can you think of some of the problems that you encounter trying to improve yourselves? Great, lack of time. Nice. Majda, she says lack of time, communication skills, okay, challenging new things, lack of resources, that's great. Overload, yeah, overwhelming, time management, yes, why not? Lack of vocabulary, okay, find the exact reason of problem, yes, being afraid of failure. That's really great. Find alternative. Okay. Support atmosphere at school. Mastering soft. Okay. Lack of content development. Emotion stress. Confusion. Okay. Large number of students. Okay. So talking about over crowded classes. Yes. Classroom management. Lack of budget. Yes. Okay. Lack of institutional support. Okay. Yes, we have really rich ideas here. Thank you so much for your engagement, and it's great. Lack of communication, lack of training. Okay, that's great. I think this is a good one too. Uh, that's great. Now let's discover some of the problems. You have mentioned most of them. Now, I'm going to share some. We have number one, we have time constraints, as you mentioned. Number two, lack of relevance to individual needs. Yes, that's really to the point. Number three, limited resources or support. That's great. You have shared these as well. Resistance to change. Okay, and number five, we have difficulty measuring impact, the impact of the CPD, right? The continuous professional development. And the last one is the lack of follow-up or sustainability. Now, let's look at each one of these in detail. So our next slide will be about time constraints. So I'm going to share a prompt, and then we'll see how we can address this. For example, this teachers struggle to balance between professional development and existing teaching workload and personal responsibilities. So what do you think are some of the solutions to address this issue? Yes, reduce yes, workload, that's great. Quit teaching? I don't advise you to do that. Right, okay, what are time management? So improve your time management skills. That's great. Reflection. Yes, that's why you're here. Yes, attend webinars. Why not? Well organized schedule. Very good. Yeah. Let me share some two ideas that we can discuss as well. Number one, they invite teachers to focus on small and actionable insights, not thorough overhauls. And then number two would be incorporate CPD into your daily routines using reflective journals or quick prompts. So in this webinar, you're gonna get some tips on how to address such problems, like uh, how to find the balance between your daily duties with your schools and institutions, and how to to develop yourselves in terms of continuing the professional development. Our next prompt will be about yeah, this is the next challenge: lack of relevance to individual needs. Sometimes institutions uh, bring trainings to their teachers, but they lack relevance. They don't address um, real problems that teachers face in their classrooms. So how do you think we could address this issue? All right, someone says, okay, we can conduct surveys to check. Yes, that's great. This is a good idea. Yeah. Um, yes. So how do you inform them, Iman? How do you inform them that you have problems in your classroom? Behavior management. I'm not sure I get your point, Asma. Conduct meetings. Yes. Okay. That might help as well. Highlight the problems. Yes. Interviews. Okay. Write notes. Okay. Talk to administration. Yes. Can have meetings with your head teachers as well. Continuous exposure to webinars. Yes. This is a good idea as well. Peer observation. Yes, why not? Okay, now uh, this is an issue that happens most of the time. So we have like programs, CPD programs, maybe too generic or fail to address specific challenges that teachers face in their context. So what I suggest is that we have to contextualize CPD content. And this is what we're doing right now with the British Council in MENA region through communities of practice. So we contextualize the, the, the teaching, let's say, the language components, the issues that teachers face in their daily encounters with students and professional development opportunities. So we contextualize them to meet the needs of specific areas. But for you as a teacher, you need to look for uh, specific topics that match your context. The next one is you have to identify where CPD aligns with your goals. So if you have your goals, if you are facing big problems or challenging problems with managing your classrooms, perhaps you have to look for, as you said, webinars, look for professional development opportunities where you have to expose to more materials on how to effectively manage your classrooms in terms of time, space, and so on and so forth. Number three, limited resources or support. So I give one prompt: absence and lack of access to adequate materials, mentorship, institution support, which leads to frustration and hinders growth. How do you think we could address this issue? For example, lack of materials, adequate materials, lack of mentorship, you have lack of institutional support. You're not recycle, use blogs and website. That's great. Yes, why not? Projects, okay. External materials, co-teaching. Yes, good. Peer teaching or co-teaching. Blocks, create your own resources. Yes, that's nice. Okay. Use surrounding environments. Okay. Very good. Let's blended learning, teaching. Okay, good. So let me share some. Okay. Reflective practices. When you reflect about your practice, you foster resourcefulness, meaning that the more you get in touch with, when you reflect on your classroom, you discover where the problems are. So you get to get, you search for the most appropriate resources that matches your context. The next one is informal support and collaborative problem solving. You have mentioned peer observation. Why not? Peer teaching. Why not invite a teacher to your classroom to see what's going on, to reflect on your own teaching? Next, resistant to change. Teachers may be reluctant to adopt new practices due to the comfort with existing methods or skepticism about CPD opportunities. How can we overcome this one? If teachers are reluctant to adopt new practices, new methodologies, new trends in education, what do you suggest to address this one? Start changing. Yes, teachers should be flexible and adapt. Very good. Yes, I like this idea. I like it. Workshop is very good. Attend workshop. Peer assessment. That's really great. Building awareness. That's awesome. Yeah. Making it attractive. Yes, good. Scaffolding. Perhaps, yes, trainings, attend trainings. Okay, let's move on. Okay, what I suggest is that we need to challenge ourselves to critically evaluate our current practices. So we have to get out of our comfort zone. If you don't seek new opportunities, we don't challenge ourselves, we don't adapt new changes to our classroom settings, we're not going to actually improve. The next one will be build confidence in testing new approaches. You're not going to lose anything. You're not going to destroy anything. So when you try an approach, you're going to evaluate it, of course. You're going to see what works and what doesn't work. So here you improve. Our fifth component is difficulty of measuring the impact. Look at this prompt. We can see that uncertainty about how to assess the effectiveness of CPD initiatives on students' learning and their professional development or their professional growth. How can we address this one? So some teachers are uncertain on how to assess the effectiveness of CPD on their classrooms. So this brings uncertainty. Maybe they could seek feedback, say this is achieving goals. Okay. Okay, it's nice. Build clear goals, setting specific goals, surveys. Yes, nice. Improvement, regular assignments, portfolios. Discuss what they have learned. That's great. Okay, I'm going to share some tips here. So reflective practice are a structured approach, or reflective practices are a structured approach to analyze the outcomes of a CPD effort. So we engage in continuous professional development through reflective practices. You have a systematic approach to analyze the outcomes of that CPD effort or that intervention. So our next tip is using distinguished reflective practice tools to assess what worked and what didn't and plan for improvement. So we will discover some in our webinar today. We discover, for example, journals. We can tap on what we jot on journals to act to plan future decisions, future improvement. We can also start from the lesson plans, our lesson plans, and discover whether we meet the objectives of today's lesson, and then plan accordingly. Next, number 6, the last one, the last component of our section is a lack of follow-up or sustainability. Look at this one. CPD lacks continuity, leaving teachers without ongoing support or clear strategies for long-term application. What do you suggest to fix this problem? Field visits, identify gaps, yes. Provide regular feedback, that's great. Setting short and long-term objectives, attend courses, yes, that's right. Engage, track, create online forums. Okay, that's awesome. Really excellent ideas. Now, let me share some tips. We need a sustained engagement with CPD. So sustainability is one of the key components here, key factors in which decide on how we carry on our CPD opportunities, how we take charge of our own responsibilities. So we have to have a vision. How are we going to develop? What are the areas am I going to train myself on? What does my classroom lack? What are the tools? What are some of the tools that I can use in order to engage my learners to be engaged in speaking or other areas in teaching? Yes, reflective practices ensure that CPD becomes an iterative or repetitive process. If you engage in a reflective practice, your CPD becomes repetitive, meaning that it will yield more beneficial outcomes. Now, let us discover some, explore some frameworks and models that are used for reflective practice. Okay, our first model or framework is called cycle of reflective practice. I don't know if you have come across this one. I'm going to share with you. Okay, right. So as you can see here, for Kolb's reflective cycle involves or is composed of 4 stages. We have the concrete experience. All right, the concrete experience. We have the reflective observation. Then we have what we call abstract conceptualism and active experimentation. So I'm briefly going to define each of these stages. So for the concrete experience, we have what we experience directly, or the experiences or the real problems in teaching or student learning. So this stage is descriptive. So we describe what's going on in our classrooms. The next stage, which is reflective observation. So here we reflect upon problems. The emphasis here is on your feelings and the links to your skills, knowledge, and prior experience. And the next stage of it's called abstract conceptualism, which is learning from your experience, a stage where you acknowledge both things that worked, it means that things that went well, and the things that didn't, right? So you may identify areas for further exploration. And the last stage, which is active experimentation. So here we are putting learning into practice, meaning that it's about translating your analysis and explanation into plans and actions moving forward. So you can use SMART goals, for example. You can make these plans and actions specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and also time bound. Okay. Our next framework is Gibbs reflective cycle. It's composed of 6 stages. We start with the description. We describe what happened briefly. Then we have feelings. It means we describe what we feel about what happened in our classrooms. Then we evaluate. So we look at what was good, bad about a given situation. Then we have analysis, which is how do you make sense of it. Sorry. Then we draw conclusions. It means general conclusions on or specific. That could be general or specific. And then action plan, which is what would you do next. The next our next model. This is it is titled. Yes, it shows reflective cycle. We have 2 stages here, but I really like this one much more than the others. Why? I will state. Let's look at, first of all, let's look at the this model. We have reflection in action, which involves reflecting about what's going on while you're conducting the teaching. You're teaching, or while teaching your lessons, while engaging your learners, you come across something that went wrong, and then you reflect on the experience itself. You think about it during the event. It means while it's happening, and then you describe how to act at that time, right? For example, you are conducting facilitating or conducting a speaking activity. So some students felt reluctant or were reluctant and didn't participate, they showed some signs of disengagement. And then while you're doing that, you provide some kind of solutions, you intervene at this situation, you are reflecting, and at the same time you're taking actions. So for example, you could change the activity, maybe you could switch the approach, for example, from group work to, for example, whole class work to group work or peer work that would engage students. So this is what we call acting immediately. The second phase is when you reflect on the action. It means afterwards or after the lesson ends. So here you reflect on something that has happened. What would you do differently if it happened again? New information gained from the lesson or theoretical perspectives. So you're gonna you're going to engage in something like research or asking other colleagues if they have if they had the same problem or and how they approached it. So the reflection is done after the lesson. Now let's do some kind of practice. So I'm going to show you some real world examples. Let's start with the first study or case study. So number one, so to make it a little bit practical, so I'm going to read, or you can read from the slide as well. So here, Miss Lebna, a high school teacher in a public school, had been teaching for 5 years. While her lessons were well structured, she noticed a recurring issue, which is her students struggled with active participation and critical thinking, often resorting to rote learning or rote memorization. This prompted her to explore ways to improve her teaching strategies. Now, if we applied, uh, if we applied, uh, if we applied one of the models or the frameworks today, how would you approach this one? How would you solve this problem? Yes, can you share some of your suggestions in the chat box? Okay, you do reflection after action. Okay, that's nice. Survey students' interest and preferences. Okay. Reflection after teamwork. Okay, so you use GIPS. Okay. Ask students feedback. Okay. Simplified. Okay. Differentiation of instruction. That's really great. Consider other activities. Yes, she needs. Okay. Nice. Exit. Okay. Problem solving. Yes, that's great. Change. Okay. Many prompts here. Gamification. That's great. Okay, that's great. It's awesome. We have lots of actually interesting uh, ideas. Now, let's do some kind of analysis of the previous case study or situation using Kolb's reflective cycle. Now, as you can see here, we have the concrete experience. So Lubna discovered that her students struggled with active participation and critical thinking and the overuse of rote memorization. This is what she discovered. That was what actually happened. Now, for the next stage, which is the effective observation, she had some ideas about what might cause the problem. So maybe the lack of student-centered activities that promote inquiry and analysis. Maybe the lesson focused more on content rather than encouraging interaction. Or maybe the students didn't like the critical thinking test she provided them with. For the next stage, which is abstract conceptualism or conceptualization, Lubna has started developing insights about her teaching practice and formulated more steps to deal with the problem. So Maybe she did some research, and then she she uh, she was informed that she has to introduce more critical thinking activities. She also found out that she has to shift approach from teacher-centered to learner-centered approach. Maybe also she discovered also that she has to tailor the activities to students' needs, individual needs. The last component, which is active experimentation. So she implemented strategies experimenting with real life scenarios, trends, stimulate critical thinking, assign more collaborative project where students could analyze, analyze and provide solutions to problems. And the last one, she opted for creating a safe environment that fosters self expression and asking questions. Um, our next example is from Mr. Husni, who is an English teacher in middle school. He struggled to help students develop confidence in speaking English. They were reluctant to speak during class activities, fearing mistakes and judgment from peers. Recognizing the need to address this issue, Mr. Husni incorporated reflective practices into his teaching. Now, my question to you, what do you think are some of the problems that cause students to be reluctant in speaking and to go silent in our classrooms? Can you share some of these, in the chat box? Yes, good shyness, making mistakes. Okay, yes. Lack of motivation, good. Now, how can you address these using reflective practice models that I have introduced to you today? Can you provide me with some practical, yes, insight on how we could like engage them, sorry, in solving this problem? How could you help Mr. Husni address the issue raised in this scenario? Yes, all right. Involve them, student. Okay, yes, good. Support, motivate them. That's great. Enhance their chances to listen to native speakers. Yes, encourage them. That's great. Now let's look at. Let's use Sean's reflective model. Now we said that when we talk about like reflection in action, Mr. Husni adjusted his teaching in real time, reflecting on what might be causing the problem. He noticed signs of discomfort or anxiety. From the body language, you could like see students' facial expressions, sending signs that he has to address that issue. Used supportive tone. Maybe he adjusted when he discovered that they were reluctant, he adjusted his tone, simplified the tasks to encourage students to participate. He also opted for changing the activity structure from whole class to less intimidating class group tasks for having students conducting role plays in peers. After the event or after the lesson, this is reflection on action. Mr. Husni had a deep reflection afterwards, considering many factors. Maybe, as you mentioned, students could, feared making mistakes. Maybe there was a problem with the classroom culture, so it should be more supportive. Maybe the activity design. So maybe the design of the activity, like it was much beyond students' current level, language proficiency level. It was not relevant. So this is what Mr. Husni has done to or implemented this classroom to reflect on what's happening. Now, for the next session, we have the tools and strategies for effective. I'm going to share some of the tools and strategies that you can use in your apply directly to your classrooms. We have digital reflection tools like digital journals, OneNote, Evernote. You can use these every day after each session or each lesson. You can devise from 5 to 15 minutes per day to jot down what's going on in your classroom. Yes, video recording for self analysis. This is great. You can record yourself and then rewatch yourself and see. You can and reflect on. Yes, reflect on what happened. We have also collaborative reflection. We have peer reflection. You can invite a colleague of yours to your classroom to observe what you're doing, and they can give you constructive feedback. These are some strategies, some questions that you can ask. What strategies were effective? What could be improved? How does this lesson relate to your own teaching? We have also observation checklists, rubrics, digital recording tools. Yes, and we have also communities of practice. So you can. I will share links to that we can. I will share links to our communities of practice in the MENA region, the British Council. So you can meet trainers and teachers each week from the MENA region to expand on your teaching aspects. Um, all right. We have also self-assessment techniques. Uh, these are some. We have journaling, lesson evaluation forms, self-reflection questionnaire, student feedback. You can get also. Do you? Can you share some of the ways that you get feedback from your learners? How do you do that? I'm really curious to know how do you do this with your learners? How do you have your students to share feedback with you? Yes, you share a questionnaire. It's great. What else? You ask them, asking questions. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yes. Polls. That's very good. That's right. Yes. Okay, that's great. That's nice. And also we have goal setting and progress tracking tools, teaching portfolios as well. Okay. Now, uh, I will. Yeah, we are okay. We still have some time. Now, let's do some practice. Now, I'm going to introduce this scenario from a successful moment, and you're going to tell me how you could reflect on this one. During a group activity, your students are fully engaged and collaborate effectively. At the end of the lesson, several students share positive feedback saying they enjoyed the activity and felt they learned a lot. How would you reflect on this one using what we learned today? Yes, okay, what was the most important? Very good, yes. What else? All right. Improve. Yes, okay. Praising. Use more group activities. Ask them what. Yes. Ask. Okay. Being proud and being positive. Okay. Motivation. Reward. Okay. All right. I will share another scenario, which is the last one. It is about classroom management. You are delivering a lesson on a challenging topic, and a group of students in the back is chatting and disengaged. Despite multiple attempts to refocus their attention, the disruption continues, affecting the rest of the class. How would you reflect on this one? What would you do? What are the steps that you're gonna do to reflect on this? Sit, okay, change seats, okay, make it relatable to them. Okay. All right, so okay, manage time, question and give clear instructions. Okay, great. Uh, Now, for building a reflective cultures, this is the last thing we will talk about today. I really encourage teachers to lead their own CPD. You have to take the initiative to fix the problems you're facing in your classrooms. You can do this by using one of the tools I shared today, and also you can engage in you can subscribe to our communities of practice and um, register, so you could like attend weekly sessions to expand your professional development opportunities. Now, next one we have encouraging institutional support. So you have to engage people around your environment. Let's say other teachers, head teachers, why not, supervisors, and so on and so forth. Everyone has to contribute to making this a culture, a habit of reflecting on our own practices. Last one is overcoming barriers. So if you encounter any barrier in your classroom, share it with other teachers, bring it to, for example, online communities of teachers, or networks, local networks or national or international networks as well, and share those barriers to find out more solutions to address them. Um, so, final tips on how you can download the certificate from this webinar. So you can use the link below, that is what is shared in the chat, and then you can make sure you have to use a laptop, of course. Make sure you have the Adobe Reader. Click on the link to download the certificate, and then type your name and save it to your laptop, right? So this is how you can download your certificate. And these are some, yeah, it's time to share some of the links and announcement that we have, new groups that have opened for you uh, to to get yes, to register to. So we have free online, we have WhatsApp sessions, free online support. So these are the links. We have teaching primary group, teaching secondary group, teaching education group, and also teaching writing with technology. We have also Zoom sessions where we have speaking clubs, so that you can uh, yes get into take part and benefit from wide range of opportunities but the British Council provides you with through MENA region. Yes. Okay. Don't forget to download, to click on the to share with us your feedback on the session, so that we could use this feedback to see ways to improve ourselves, and also to cater for your needs, your specific needs. Yes. Uh, I think you. Yeah, yes, you have the links in the chat box, please. So click on the link. These are some. We'll share also some useful links, and also you can read more about reflective practices um, by clicking on the last link, which will direct you to the British Council teachingenglish.org, so you can find lots of materials that you can adapt to your needs. Um, the slides, yeah, the links on the slide are shared. So the links are there. You could just yes, I have seen some links shared. Yes. So thank you so much for your attendance, and I hope that you have learned a lot from this session. Thank you for being so nice and engaged. So don't miss our next webinar today, which is TikTok with our esteemed trainer, Nadia Tuati, at 7:30. Thank you so much, and see you next time. Bye-bye.